Hey everyone, welcome to Screen Time. This is the monthly show where I talk about all of the games I've been playing and movies/series I've been watching without having to do a full-blown review of everything. I don't have the time to make all of those videos and you don't have the time to watch them. So in these videos, I just talk about all the cool stuff I've been up to. Allows me to talk about some really cool games that you maybe haven't been playing or maybe some really cool movies you haven't seen. So if that sounds interesting to you, just subscribe to the channel, but let's get started. So I'll start with all of the games I've been playing this month. If you're here for more of the movies and series stuff, there's a timestamp in the description, so you can just move on to that part of the video. But really good games came out this month. Two really big good games came out. One of those is Spider-Man 2, and this has been taking up most of my time this month. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you'll know that Spider-Man 2018 was one of my favorite games of all time. It's the only game I've ever platinumed. Spider-Man Miles Morales was incredible. I bought a PlayStation 5 to play that. Really enjoyed it, but Spider-Man 2 is on another level. I'm about 20 hours into this one. I'm about halfway through the story, and I have been loving it. It's like a perfect game. There's a couple bugs here and there that I'm sure will just get patched out with updates, but other than that, there's nothing wrong with this game. They've added so much to this sequel. It feels completely fresh, completely new. Not only is the map a little bit bigger where they add Brooklyn and Queens, but you can play as Peter or Miles. You can switch between the two whenever you feel like it. The story is absolutely incredible. I don't want to talk about that much and spoil anything, but it's like a Spider-Man movie. It's so good. They really split the game down the middle perfectly with Peter and Miles. They both have independent missions. They both have different abilities. There are tons of great new abilities like the spider wings where you can just fly around the city. Traversal is so much fun and like pretty intense. Sometimes I'm like, this is like, my brain is not meant to comprehend how fast and awesome this game is. It's like too good sometimes where I can only play it for like a couple hours before my brain starts melting a little bit. But the traversal is one of my favorite upgrades in this game. There's so much more you can do. I just want to zip around for hours. I have never fast traveled anywhere. I have so much fun. I could literally just play the game for like an hour just flying around looking at the city. There's so much to do. There's so many great little side quests. I'm kind of saving those for the end and been working through the main quest, the main story, and it's been incredible. The graphics are amazing. This game is absolutely beautiful. I don't have anything bad to say about this game. Like I said, I'm about halfway through the story, but I still feel like I haven't even scratched the surface. I feel like there's so much more for me to do. I do plan on platinuming this game. I also plan on platinuming Miles Morales, but I kind of got discouraged when I had to like beat the game again on New Game Plus. I haven't taken a big look at the trophy list, but I can see myself putting hundreds of hours into this game. I do have a minor spoiler. It's very minor. You don't have to click away. But new slang by the Shins is in this game. That's super cool. This is probably my game of the year. Another huge game came out this month on the same day as Spider-Man 2 actually, and that is Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I actually haven't played a lot of this yet. I know I'm the Mario guy. I know I have a big Mario collection. I know I talk about Mario all the time. I know there's Mario surrounding me in this game room. But Spider-Man 2 is just so good that I haven't had time to play anything but that, and I haven't really wanted to. Anytime I'm in the mood to play a video game, I just turn on my PS5 and play Spider-Man 2. That being said, I have played just the first couple worlds of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and it's awesome. I'm not going to say too much about it because I want to finish the game and give you my final thoughts, but for first impressions, it looks incredible. The graphics are beautiful. The whole style of it feels new and fresh. I know we were all sick of new Super Mario Bros. I definitely was, and this feels like something completely new, completely fresh. The levels are great. The design of it, there's so much more to do. Playing as all the different characters is great, but that's pretty much all I have to say. First impressions are, it's awesome. It might be the best 2D Super Mario Brothers game. Might be the best 2D Super Mario Brothers game ever. But I don't know yet. I don't want to make that claim, but so far it's so good. They've added so much. I'm enjoying it. I'm sure there are more things that I just haven't even seen yet that they've added, so I'm going to save that for next month. But wait for next month. I will be finishing this game hopefully soon, and I'll have a lot to say about it soon. Before Spider-Man 2 came out, I was really invested in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Now, this is one of the reasons I bought a PlayStation 5. I've always been a huge fan of Ratchet & Clank. I've been playing them since the first one on PS2, and I was really excited to play this one. I heard so many good things about it, and it's awesome. It's so good. I'm about 80% through the story, and I love everything about it. They've added so many things. I didn't play the ones on PS4 all the way through. PS3 I played a good amount of, but this one feels so fresh, so new. They've added so much to the weapons with upgrading them. It just feels endless as far as weapons. I feel like I'm always unlocking something new. I'm always upgrading something. Things just keep getting better. They've also added a lot of great characters to this with Rivet and Kit, which are kind of the multiverse equivalent of Ratchet and Clank. So you can play as them. They have their own storyline. It really just expands this game. It like doubles this game. It feels so good. Visually, it's absolutely stunning. It really feels like a next generation game. This is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and it definitely feels like it. It definitely feels like a PS4 couldn't even run this. It's on another level. It is linear as far as a 3D platformer goes, but the levels feel huge. I never feel like I'm confined to anything. So I can't wait to go back and play it. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. If you haven't played it, just buy it and play it. If you have a PS5, it's an absolute essential for PS5. So if I'm on the go or in bed or just doing something, I've been lugging around my analog pocket with me. I know I said I was going to do a review on this, but I've been too busy playing it and not reviewing it. And I really love this thing. Mostly I've been playing Super Mario Land, which is a lot of fun. It's a really cool, different take. It's not for everybody, but I've been really enjoying it. And I've also been playing Mega Man 2, which is really good, but Mega Man is so hard and I'm so bad at it. And I thought I'd try to play the one on Game Boy because Game Boy is a simpler device than the NES. The NES games are so difficult and I never put the time in to get good at them. So I thought, hey, a Game Boy, it should be a little bit easier. Nope, it's still really hard. I'm still terrible at it, but I've been trying. I'm getting a little bit better at it. I mean, I'm not like as bad as I used to be, but it's a really cool port of Mega Man. It's a little bit simpler. I really enjoy Mega Man, but I just want to play it more. I just want to get good at it. So Mega Man 2 on the Game Boy. I didn't even know it existed on the Game Boy until I found it and bought it. I've been loving it. If you haven't played the Game Boy versions of Mega Man, you should try it out. It's fun. So now on to the movies, and it was October, so that means I did watch just a couple spooky movies, not as much as I usually do in October. I've had a lot going on lately, but my local theater was playing Psycho, not on VHS, actually. I just have this VHS copy to show you guys, but my local theater was playing Psycho on Halloween night in 35mm. I didn't have any fun Halloween plans, so I had to go, and it was such a cool experience. I haven't seen this movie since I was a little kid, and I absolutely loved it. The theater was actually packed. Some people were dressed up. It was so cool to be watching a classic, a good spooky movie on Halloween night. It was a little rainy, it was chilly, it was just so cool. And this movie has aged like fine wine. It is so good. It might even be better now than it was in 1960. All of that transatlantic, yeah, you see? Like, all of that stuff is absolutely hilarious now. There's one point towards the end of the movie where a detective is explaining the whole plot twist. I don't want to give anything away if you haven't seen Psycho. I mean, if you haven't, just go see it. It's a classic. You have to see Psycho. But at one point he goes, yes and no. And the whole theater was cracking up. If you're into true crime and serial killers and stuff like that, this is one of the first movies to kind of explore that. Norman Bates is such a cool character. All the cinematography is absolutely beautiful. It's black and white, but that kind of just adds to the creepiness. So not only is it still creepy and still really good and still kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat, if you don't know the plot twist, this movie is so cool. It really hides everything that's going on behind the scenes so well, but now it's funny too. I absolutely love Hitchcock. I've been meaning to watch more Hitchcock, but seeing this again, I think the last time I saw it, I was probably like 13 years old. So seeing it now with a little bit more movie experience under my belt, I loved it. So it wouldn't be October, it wouldn't be Halloween without watching Halloween, the original from 1978. I have this really cool collector's edition Blu-ray here just because I want to watch it all the time. It never gets old for me. There's not much to say about this movie that hasn't been said already. I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's perfect. It's probably still one of the best slasher movies. The new ones are great. The Rob Zombie one's fun. The whole new trilogy is okay. The first one was great, but Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends were but this one holds up so well. Jamie Lee Curtis is great. It's paced so well. The music is absolutely perfect. Carpenter just knocked it out of the park with this one. It's a tradition for me to watch it, and I'm glad I did. I'm going to be watching it every year for the rest of my life on or around Halloween. It's so good. Moving on from the spooky stuff, like I said, I didn't watch too much spooky stuff. Maybe next October, this whole video will just be cool horror movies, but this year, like I said, been a lot going on. But I also watched Creed. I love the Rocky movies, and I forgot how good this movie was. I don't think I've seen it since it came out. I found it at a thrift store on Blu-ray for a couple bucks and decided to pop it in one night, and it's awesome. It's shot so well. The fight scenes are like brutal, just ridiculous. Rocky's in it. That's awesome. I live in Pennsylvania, so it really captures Philadelphia and is just a love letter to the city, and I absolutely love that. Michael B. Jordan is a stud. Dude, he's so jacked in this movie. It's insane. I totally believe that he could beat up anybody, especially the guy who plays the bad boxer in this movie. He is not in the best shape. The casting was really weird. That's something that always bothered me about this movie. The actor who plays like the world heavyweight champion of the world is kind of doughy and doesn't look that intimidating. But other than that, this movie is great. If you're a fan of boxing or fighting or Rocky, then you have to see it. I have seen Creed 2, but I haven't seen Creed 3 yet, so maybe that'll be on the list. Maybe that's something I'll check out. Maybe I'll watch 2 and then 3 and kind of get the Creed trilogy under my belt. I also rewatched The Hurt Locker. Again, I found this at a local thrift store for a couple bucks, and I hadn't seen it in probably 10 years. I remember enjoying it, but I didn't remember much about the movie, and I was absolutely blown away. This movie is about a bomb defusing squad in Iraq, and it's intense. It's anxiety to the limit. I mean, and it should be. Defusing bombs is a pretty stressful thing if you ask me, and this really captures that. It really just doesn't turn away for a second. It just leaves you in that spot with these characters that are in some of the most stressful situations I could ever think of. This movie's pretty brutal, so if you're not in the mood for something kind of intense, I wouldn't recommend this. It really depicts the horror of war, and it does not turn away for a second. Jeremy Renner and Anthony Mackie are the leads in this one, both of them in the Avengers, so it's kind of cool to see two guys that are in the Avengers together in a movie like 10 years before the Avengers started. Renner is incredible. This is probably his best performance, but Anthony Mackie really steals the show in this one. There's a depth and complexity to the characters in this movie that I don't fully understand. I'm not a veteran. I don't think you're really supposed to understand. War is just terrible, and this movie really depicts that. And also, Ralph Fiennes is in it for about 3 minutes, so that's really cool. And the last movie I watched that I want to talk about, there's a couple other movies I'm sure I'm missing, but I guess they weren't really worth talking about if I can't remember them right now. But I watched I See You, which is on Netflix. A really cool thriller mystery, not really a horror movie, but the trailer kind of makes you think it is. I don't want to say too much about this movie and give anything away. I went into it pretty blindly. I think I saw it on a TikTok, kind of like, this is an underrated movie that you should check out. So it looked pretty interesting, and I did check it out, and I really enjoyed it. But I don't want to give away too much, so I'm just going to read the Netflix description to you all. As he searches for a missing child, a small-town detective uncovers a malicious presence lurking in the crevices of his family's already broken home. I know it's pretty ambiguous, but like I said, I don't want to say anything and give anything away because that's the best part about this movie. Everything kind of turns on its head about halfway through. Completely blew my mind. And when I watch movies, I'm always trying to think ahead. I'm always trying to figure out what's going on, and I had no clue. Completely threw me a curveball. So if you're into movies like that, this movie is pretty good. It's not amazing. Some of the acting kind of fell flat for me, but the story is great. It's so well written. The cinematography is really nice too. I don't think this had a huge budget, but I enjoyed it. If you're in the mood for something kind of fun and spooky and a little bit creepy, and it's good. You should check it out. Finally, I did watch a whole series this October, which is probably why I didn't watch that many movies. I was kind of coming home every night from work and just putting on this show. That show is Crashing on HBO, starring Pete Holmes. It was directed, or at least a lot of the episodes were directed by Judd Apatow. Follows Pete Holmes, who is a super nice Christian man who's trying to get into comedy as his whole life kind of changes. The running joke of the show is that he's like way too nice for comedy, but I love Pete Holmes. I've been really into his podcast lately called You Made It Weird, and on that podcast he talks a lot about this show, so I finally decided to check it out, and I absolutely loved it. It just kind of follows his uprising as a comedian. It's very sweet and loving and touching, but also a little bit dark and very funny. There's some really great comedians in this. Artie Lang, Bill Burr, John Mulaney, Sarah Silverman, just to name a few. So if you're a fan of stand-up, this is a perfect show for you. Kind of has a similar format to Louis or Seinfeld, where it shows a good amount of stand-up in the show from a bunch of different comedians. And the format's great. It's only about 20-25 minutes per episode. Season's about 8 episodes long, and there's only 3 seasons. So if you're looking for a quick, light, fun show to maybe watch before bed or something like that, I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of Pete Holmes at all, or any of the comedians I mentioned, it's totally worth it. There's a great storyline. It's fulfilling. It's nice. It's awesome. I love it. But that's about it for October for me. Like I said, I've had a lot going on in my personal life, so I haven't had a lot of time to sit down and enjoy things, but the things that I have been enjoying, I've been enjoying a lot. If there are any movies or games similar to the things I've talked about in this show, or just something you've been enjoying, please let me know down in the comments below. I love finding cool new stuff. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe. I do this show every month, and I do a ton of other cool stuff about games and movies and sometimes music here on the channel, so if that sounds interesting, doesn't cost anything to click that subscribe button. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.